things we were interested in, also within this IPR for circular economy project. And when doing so, we will probably touch upon some of the issues that the previous panel has actually touched upon. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna get my clock ready so Riccardo actually gets some time after me. Since that's how it's gonna be, I'm gonna start us off, and then Riccardo will show you a little bit in practical terms some of the things we've done with the students. We just selected a little section of something, a nugget from something that we've been doing. All right. Since we've not said many words about, well, this now doesn't work, about the project where you have to help me with this.
Try now.
Yes. All right.
Yes.
Good. Thanks. Thanks. So Tamara introduced the project as a whole, but I just want to make the connection between some of the things we've been doing in terms of IPR4SC and some of the offerings we've developed, and the things we've done in other parts of this project, right? Christian mentioned today that we've done this survey at the beginning about the skills and the missing skills of how can one use IPR in circularity and sustainability transitions, right? And we looked at not only IP rights, you know, and within IP rights, we were thinking about IP non-data skills, IP data skills, but then we were also thinking about digital skills and then entrepreneurial skills that kind of make everything happen. Whereas in another work package, and I think Anna and Leo will be talking about it in the afternoon, we've done this IP monitor tool, which brings together some tools and other resources that are related to intellectual property. And we try to use both of these, right? The survey in terms of, okay, what are some of the skills and knowledge that is missing, right, in our target groups? And B, you know, trying to introduce the IP monitor also in the teaching inside these offerings that we've developed. All right, and based on that, what we've done, I just love this thing. Yeah. What we've developed were 3 types of courses or 3 types of offerings. The first one was the I2P for Green course, which was really looking into this core of IP for green skills, right? The other one went a little bit, I would say, a step further, and Riccardo will actually be presenting a nugget from that course, was a course related to IP for digital skills, right? Also thinking, oh, IP in terms of really valuable information about what is going on, who's doing it, right? What does the landscape look like to enable collaboration, to understand where your freedom to operate is, where maybe you shouldn't quite go into, and so on. And the third one was a co-design jam addressing this topic of IP for entrepreneurial skills, right? Thinking about circular entrepreneurship, thinking about circular business models, right? And I've been mentioning, you know, that we've looked at IP in this particular context of transitions, right? A transition to more circular, more sustainable societies. And behind it all is, of course, this need to innovate. I think that's one of the key things everyone agrees. enable to transition, we will need to innovate, right? Whereas for this linear economy that we've been living in, right, the focus is so many times it's in kind of value creation as you go up the value chain, right? You have some added value. How do I capture that? When we start talking about circularity and sustainability, then we start talking also about how do I retain value, right? And not just by recycling. What are all the other things that we can do? And so we didn't try to just think about IP in this kind of just transferring it into kind of a linear mindset, but trying to see the context as a whole, right? All right. And this was, I wanted to put this one because it was our initial slide. So when we started developing the educational offers, this was pre all of these awesome articles that are now out and studies that are relating to IPR in this sustainability / circularity era. So we kind of needed to be more creative at the beginning to kind of make sure that the knowledge that we teach is solid. It was something that the other panel has also been talking about. And the other thing, what we wanted to point out are both kind of the positive and the negative, right, stories related to IPR, right? I love this quote that the tools provided by the IP are as powerful as they are blind, right? They were created for a linear system. So we try to point that out as well and kind of see, you know, what could issues and challenges be. And of course, on the other side, you know, we pointed out positive aspects, you know, clear rules of the game, appropriation opportunities, and then also other issues that Riccardo will talk about. So what our aim was not to kind of show just one side of the coin. We really wanted to showcase all sides of the coin, and try to kind of educate students and other participants in this. And the other thing we've heard today was you need to have a good structure when you try to teach these topics, right? And so this one is, the main one is just related to this first course called I2P for Green, just to showcase a little bit of what we have done, right? We've started with some simple cases, right? Simple points, and then kind of build them up to more and more complex ones. And, you know, it takes a village to do this, and then we discovered that maybe it takes more than one village. So beyond this core group, we were so lucky. We had a lot of experts helping us out, right? One of the things we've done, and it says here, materials, case studies, etc. One of the things we've done is we've developed a range of case studies related to these topics. So I'll just give a shout out to two of these experts that help us kind of at the front end. One is Andrea Larson. She's one of the key people that have actually developed case study methodology for sustainability. The other one is like Pat Gibbons. He told us a little bit about how do we actually teach with these cases, right? So we try to take everything on board that these people have told us. But what we've also had were these experts joining in the courses, right? And we're super grateful. We're grateful to Vital. We're grateful to EPO, but also to all the other guest lecturers and experts that came and kind of presented their aspect as well. Right. We tried to be innovative also in terms of the materials we developed. One of the things we decided was also we will do this Ecotopia realized methods. So trying to develop future scenarios and so on. Also beyond our courses, we also tried to make sure we disseminate this around. So was it last week, right? So we've done a session in the High North Dialogue, which was also co-hosted by the IPR4SC. And in that one, we were so lucky. We got the prize winners, the young entrepreneurs in our session. So, you know, we were able to discuss kind of issues related to circularity and their intellectual assets and, you know, how it is to be a circular entrepreneur in this space where you have kind of a core asset in your basic kind of value proposition. Right. The other thing we've done, we've also integrated these materials to other courses, both in our universities and related institutions, but also at others. For example, we've done some work with one of the case studies at EMU in France and so on. So we're kind of trying it out with different target groups as well. Which also led to another point. The other panel was saying that, of course, we've developed kind of the first version of these cases. And then as we're going along, we're seeing, oh, sometimes we need to detract something. Sometimes we need to add something, right? Sometimes another thing will come at the forefront. So we're trying to kind of keep it flexible and adaptable to other needs as well. All right, like I said, here's the PR part, right? So we did look at kind of positive exemplars. We talked about, you know, the value of IPR for circularity and sustainability. You know, whether that being through the value in signaling. You know, you have a patent. I'm doing this. Right, kind of showcases that, or by facilitating collaboration. A lot of these value chains in circularity and sustainability, they're long, they're complex, and many times, if they're also cross-sectorial, you won't really know your partners. So that kind of essential trust is missing. So IPRs kind of as a formality can actually step in. Facilitating exchange, right, and technology transfer. We had debates related to small companies, entrepreneurs, and their role, and kind of how can IP support that as well. And like I said, there were the negative stories as well that we were talking about. You know, we have this story now that's also in the media, right, that big car manufacturers have actually made a deal among themselves that, oh, actually we don't want that repair and remanufacture market to develop, right? So, and then now they're being punished for that. We try to say and kind of shed light into these exemplars as well, right? How you can kind of use IP to prevent a market to develop, right? Saying, well, you're infringing, right? We don't want to do it, but you're infringing and we don't want you to do it either, right? These original equipment manufacturers, the car manufacturers, they're in the business of new cars, not used cars, right? All right. So just to kind of pinpoint that, you know, we didn't just tell the sunshine and roses stories, but also some of the kind of realities, how this can play out. I'll mention the co-design jam, which was the third of our offerings here. I think we've talked quite a bit about kind of the strategies to be applied and about IP itself and circularity and sustainability in the first course already. And I think today we'll actually have Giovanna joining in the thematic networking, which, you know, she wrote one of the core articles in this area. So I'm going to let her tell us more about that. But then, of course, these strategies are underpinned by business models, right? And so the co-design gems, what went into this this topic of circular business model, and kind of trying to showcase that IP can underpin various elements of the business model, right? Whether that being value proposition, whether that being related to collaboration, right? And so on. And I think here is going to be kind of our exchange. The course that Riccardo will give you a little nugget out of was called IPR for data, right? And what we really wanted to point out in that course was this, that learning from the knowledge provided from the databases, from the data that is included in the patents is very valuable and can support the transition to more circularity and sustainability. All right, I'm going to stop with this and give the word over. Yeah, this is the moment we change. You've had enough of me. So down to the charming Italian.
Thank you. Presentation here. Yes, sure. It works? Yes. What? Okay, good morning, everybody. Thanks, Dolores, for your interesting presentation. And yeah, as Dolores said, I'm I'll be a little bit more practical, and I will show you what we did in this project with reference, in particular, to the training course we have developed for enhancing, or at least trying to improve digital skills of participants in relation to data analysis and in particular reference with patent analysis. So basically, we were asked to design and develop a training course starting from the very beginning of giving participants a comprehensive understanding of patent analysis up to the patent data interpretation. And yeah, it wasn't really hard to design this kind of process, this kind of flow, as we are quite experts, I would say, in patent analysis, because this kind of process replicates what we did usually in our daily life. But we had some kind of concern about, let's say, the last block, the block number 4. And when we had to think about the content of this block, we were asking ourselves how we could convey the message to students that data analysis and patent analysis is so beneficial, could be so beneficial for them, and in particular for supporting companies in taking decisions that could be relevant for their strategy along their life cycle of business. And so in the end, we had the idea to give them, to present them a real case study as an exemplar to show them how the information can be possibly retrieved from IP analytics and in particular from IP database. So we are moving from the situation in which you have well-structured data, good-looking charts and diagrams, and then you have to make a step forward in order to get some information from these data and to possibly give an interpretation to these charts. So we selected the method products case study, and we took from this case study some fears that the founders had at the very beginning of their story, their business story. So our idea is to try to provide some answers to their fears, their questions, by using patent analysis. So as Dolores said, this is a very short story of the MetaPrance case study. More complete version you can find on the training material we have uploaded online on the website. This is the first part of the story. Really, in a nutshell, Modic Products is a company that has been founded in early 2000, and at the very beginning, the founders would like to produce ergonomic and aesthetically pleasing liquid detergent containers and bottles. But at the same time, at the beginning, the founders had two major fears. The first one was about the competition. So the sector, they were aware the sector was really crowded with big multinational companies. So they were really big at the time. There were only 2 people, and how they could even hope to compete with them. And the second fear they had was like, if the idea was so good, why hasn't anybody else done it before? And I would say that these two are quite common questions that may arise along the way of the business entrepreneurial activity of a company. And so we show the students some really common charts that we can obtain from the main patent databases. This is the trend of the number of documents that have been filed over the time up to 2002. And we can assume that the sector is increasingly developing as the number of documents is very high and the trend is growing. So again, we can assume that there are very high barriers to enter the market here, the market of liquid detergents. And the SMEs here are composed mainly by multinational companies. So we can see here Procter & Gamble, Panasonic, Johnson & Johnson. So the supervision of the founders of Modic Products was right, we could say, because big multinational companies led the market. And this third chart we presented to students in order to see the geographical distribution of these patents. So we can see that the United States, that is the target market for metered products, was actually the most active in terms of innovation, production, and protection. So from these three charts we have seen so far, we have a confirmation of the fears of the founder of metered products, because the market had very high entry barriers and was dominated by big multinational companies with a very long story in innovation. So, but in the end, we are lucky now that we are in a kind of future, so we can say, we know that metered products was a kind of successful story. So here our analysis is wrong somehow. So where is the mistake? The mistake we try to explain to students is that is a matter of scope, because we were looking at the domain of liquid detergents as a whole, while the innovation of metered products was within a kind of subfield, which is ergonomic dispensers for liquid detergents. So here we would like, we wanted to say that we want to tell students that, okay, data are important, the well-structured, again, of data are important, but having a clear idea about the scope of your analysis, the border, the perimeter of your analysis is really crucial. And because if you had a wrong idea about this, that could be misleading and could lead you to a wrong analysis and then wrong interpretation. We repeated the analysis again, but focusing, narrowing down the analysis only on the ergonomic dispensers subfield. And here we can see that the situation of the assignees changes a little bit, because we still see some multinational companies, but startups and small, medium enterprises pop up in the list of the most active companies in the subfield. So we can assume here that metered products had room for competition in the ergonomic dispensers subfield. And then as a confirmation, we show them the ranking, let's say, of the numerosity of documents divided into the IPC class they belong to. So we can see that in the rank, we can see the vast majority of classes belong to the chemical composition of the detergents, while the IPC class for the containers is not among the most active classes. And finally, this is a comparison on the chart on the left. We can see the comparison between the number of documents for dispensers in general. It is the blue line, and the red line is the representation of the kind of trend, quite horizontal trend, only for ergonomic dispensers. And so if we zoom in order to have a look a little bit closer to the temporal distribution for the ergonomic dispenser, we can see that the innovation trend had just begun at the early 2000s. So in conclusion, for this period, so for the very beginning of the story of metered products, we can then conclude that there was room for competition, so they could enter the market and try to compete with other companies there. And it was also the right moment to do that, because the growing trend was just started. Again, this is a very brief extract from our presentation, the presentation we did during the course. There is a second part that covers from 2002 up to 2012, and during which Modic started producing highly concentrated detergents, and then finally it was merged with another company, the ErreQuadro company. So there are some other nice analysis there, and you can find them online on our website. I will show you later the link. So coming back to the whole course in general, again, the 4 different blocks, we have seen again a small extraction from block number 4. In general, we have designed this kind of modular structure in order to allow participants to start from the very beginning up to the more advanced topic. So basically, we were asked and we designed a course for a diverse audience, and that could be possibly be attended both by beginners and more advanced students. And in the end, we can say that we received a very positive feedback from the participants. Here, at the end, we provide them, we ask them to give us some feedback about the course in general. And we can see here on the left the total number of enrolled people and the total number of participants. So that helped us in targeting some the KPIs we had for this project. And on the right, we can see the current status and the field of study for all of the participants. So the vast majority were students and belonging to the IT computer science field of study. And we have quite crowded slide here, but I don't want to be to go into detail of this. Is just to give you the feeling that we ask students for providing the feedback not only about the content of the course, but also we ask them to give us feedback about their satisfaction and maybe the useful for their career or the quality of the presentation and so on. And this is, believe me, is just a selection of all the topics we ask. And we ask one time for each block, so we have a very detailed analysis here. And yeah, what we can say that it was really appreciated, I would say, because if we have a look at the green and orangish, pinkish columns, I mean, if we sum them together, in some cases, we reach 100% of satisfaction, or if not, we are really, really close to 100%. And yes, this is a kind of pilot course intended to test at the end what we have delivered. I mean, for testing the content of the training material. And here we are leaving some documents and some lessons learned for maybe future iteration, future replication of the course. And here again is a very small, reduced list of the lessons learned we have collected from both students and teachers. And in case of future replication of the course, these points could be, I mean, nice to have points to include in the next course. So the first one was the the aim of the course, meaning that it was about to highlight how businesses can leverage IP analytics. Then students and teachers as well gave a positive feedback about the well-planned and logically sequenced structure, and the fact that the delivery combined synchronous and asynchronous teachings. And in the end, we see is a kind of advice here, because they they suggest for a more tailored solution, I would say. We saw that we have designed a course for a diverse audience, and we already touched this topic in the first debate we had this morning. So trying to have a more tailored content in order to be more focused on the final target we want to address. And as promised, this is the final slide in which you can find the link. I mean, all the materials we have developed is being uploaded online to our website of the project. You can see here the facilitator handbook is a very comprehensive document in which you will find any kind of details from the design and the creation part of the course, and then the delivery, and you will find all the statistics you want, all the feedback we have received, all the lessons learned we have collected there. And then you can even download the training material we have used during the course. So here we cannot see here, but we have also training material block number 4, in which you will find the part of this presentation I have just presented, more in addition to the second part I was telling you before. So you're really welcome if you can have a look at this material, and maybe if you have some kind of question after, you can reach me out at this email address. This is our website, and you can have a look whenever you want. My presentation is over. Thank you for it.
I guess we can leave some time for Q&A.
Yeah, this is the Q&A session. Somebody here from on Zoom want to ask something? Oh, we are about time. We are good.
Come on, this thing, you never hear yourself really well. Okay, thank you so much. And it's, even if I was part of this whole process, it always feels nice to have somebody sum it up for you and give you the overview, because we are so detailed focused while we are doing it. It's more of this. So can you tell us a little bit about the response we got from the students? So how, because we were trying quite a lot to find a way to lower the barrier of entering, because we found in our original survey that a lot of the students and our focus groups were feeling that IPRs was not really for them. It was too far away. It was too special. They were often focused on the law aspect of it and didn't feel they had capabilities and competencies to deal with that. So did we get any response regarding how the students received the material from the point of view to help them realize that maybe IPR is something they actually could use? Yeah, I don't see any of this.
I'm just putting that. I'm just going back to my presentation, because I can use kind of detail for answering this question. I mean, from my perspective, but it's very personal, one of the most important feedback we got is about the usefulness for your career response. That is there at the top right of the slide. So we got the very positive feedback here, and especially we can see we got satisfied people for 24% and very satisfied people, totally satisfied people with 76% of participants. So although the gap, the initial gap we have, and come back, and we can see even a kind of trend here, starting from the 63 of, but again, is 98. Consider the satisfied people in total. So 98 at the first block, and then up to 100% at the last block. So it was very, very positive. And we can see the kind of engagement in students, maybe also along the training path we have delivered. So I would say yes, there was a gap at the beginning. We have the statistics there from Work Package 2 as well, definitely. In the end, this kind of path, starting from the very beginning, from the very basics concept of the pattern analysis up to the more advanced analytic use of analysis and data interpretation as being really appreciated. And I would say, yeah, at least I feel that they appreciate this kind of course of the training path. Yeah.
If I can just add on to this, we need to do it here. I can just do this one. What we figured out, because of course we had all these concerns, right? We wanted a relatively wide target group, and you've seen this. We've done this for university students. We've run a course for the vocational educational training students. We had yours in a summer school version as well. So there was a lot of diversity. There was a lot of diversity in terms of their backgrounds, in terms of where they are professionally, and so on. And we would try to troubleshoot as these things came along, kind of adding more materials on just the basics of IPR for those that don't know, but maybe not saying so much for everyone about this, because we were thinking, okay, some might already know, some have done some other course with us or something. But I think where we struggled was this awareness. So getting people to come. I think once we got them, I think us two can talk more about the first two courses, but once we got them there, then it wasn't that difficult. From the feedback we had was that students did get value, students in this wide sense did get value out of this. But this awareness problem, when you say, come, it's going to be about intellectual property rights, and then just to narrow it down, circular economy and sustainability, and people are like, I don't think so. No, right? So I think it's this. We in the first session they said so nicely, right, that this first level is just the awareness level. And I think as with any of these training and courses, it's really hard to kind of get people to just say, oh yeah, and recognize, oh yeah, this is something that we think could be valuable for us. So yeah, I think that's,
If I may, to add what you Dolores finished, and point out one aspect where we were not as successful as from wished at the beginning. And this is the situation where it comes to the ECTC recognition, which the main barrier actually was not our fault. It was just the national demand of national agencies for quality in higher education. Through their processes will take longer than we anticipated. But nevertheless, to, let's say, continue with the legacy, and this is some task that actually is on our back for after the project ends. We actually managed to get 2 institutions, higher education institutions in Slovenia, who are going to propose this as elective courses. I think on PhD level, or is it master's level? Masters. So this is going to be, I mean, these educational offerings as elective courses, if I'm not mistaken, for the next round study year. They are going to be.
Still considered, but yeah, the discussion is that next year they will. I mean, modules from both of those incorporated because we didn't want to leave behind, so we proposed them both courses to work upon. And they said that some of this can be incorporated and make it a big one. But complex, why it's master study because it has analytics and data analytics in there. But yeah, the interest was there. And I mean, they basically salvaged both courses to make one that would fit their needs.
Okay, thank you, Christian. As you were preparing the syllabus, you have more right to speak about it than me. Nevertheless, and to touch what Dolores was mentioning, it's actually the let's say a sort of a PR efforts should be done to or consider how to approach the target groups and the different levels of students to whom we are offering this content. But this is again a task that is beyond the current situation. But nevertheless, raising awareness can then contribute to getting students to attend and also getting ECTCs for it is another positive take-out. Apart from the knowledge that comes from. Thank you.
Maybe just on this, I think, as we finish the project, of course, we don't want the deliverables to die. That's the most horrible thing that can happen to you. And so we've been, like Tamara mentioned, we've just been active trying to see, can we just repeat the course as is? And, we have one of the partners interested in that in the VET space. Can we maybe mix and match these things together like that? And then we are in luck because especially this IPR and circular economy field is now quickly developing. And so we also have discussions with others that have now started off or have run something very shortly on in the space of IPR and circular economy. I'm not going to name names, although they're impressive, but also trying to merge what they have with what we have and trying to kind of do version 2.0 of what we're offering. And the third one is, of course, we did already integrate this in quite many courses. And that's why we went with this modularity, right? You can just pick and take what you like, and then you can also kind of mix and match. Because otherwise, if someone doesn't like it as a whole, it's going to die. So I think with that, yeah, we're trying. Like I said, nothing worse than the deliverables dying with you. So thank you.
Yeah,
For the online.
Okay, so just because I think the point Dolores was making now is so important. What we find in the universities where we have been trying to suggest, should we develop a new course? We already have a lot of the materials, it would be relatively simple. The thing is, a lot of business studies are overcrowded with courses already. There is not much space. And Dolores put it more delicately, IPR is not sexy. So it's difficult selling. So I think we should be looking at more using the modularity of the material that you can put in even 1 hour, 2 hours in an existing course is better than nothing. Can you start the process that there are people out there that actually think of IPR as something relevant for me and my company? Because the sad truth is that when we talk to smaller companies and entrepreneurs, they are ignoring the matters unless they are in the few industries where IPR is absolutely at the core of all the activities, so chemical industries and so on. So other than that, it's completely being ignored. So we need to use all the dirty tricks in the book from just mentioning it. I'm working on including a case in my statistics course, so I can talk about it then. So that's where we need to go, I think.
Give us 2 minutes extra to go to lunch.
Okay.
Now we're happy for more questions.
Okay, since there is the request for the earlier lunch.
Wow. 2 minutes. Great job.
Take care.
Yeah, thank you, Dolores. Thank